The royal palace of Valyrias gleamed like a diamond beneath the light of 3 moons. Within its crystalline walls, Princess Isla stood motionless, her gaze fixed on the departing ship of yet another failed suitor. The 78th prince to fall short of her impossible test. His shoulders slumped, his pride shattered, just like all who came before him. Isla exhaled softly, her breath misting against the glass. "It wasn't meant to be impossible," she whispered. Yet somehow none had even come close. Behind her, royal advisor Thelmar approached, robes trailing across the polished floor. "Another disappointment, Your Highness. Prince Dorvan lasted longer than most, but the result is the same. The king grows impatient. The celestial alignment is approaching in 6 cycles. The ancient laws are clear. You must choose a consort before then, or the council will choose one for you." Isla turned sharply, her silver eyes flashing. "I am aware of the law, Thelmar. I wrote half of it." He bowed slightly, his ridged face tightening with worry. 78 candidates from 7 star systems, Princess. Not one has passed your challenge." Ayla moved toward the central platform of her chamber. With a gesture, a web of holographic constellations and equations lit the air around her. "The test is fair. I seek someone who can see beyond what they're taught, someone who breaks rules instead of bowing to them." Thelmar hesitated. "Perhaps if we widened the search to other noble houses—" "It won't matter," Isla interrupted coldly. "They're all the same. Trained minds, trapped in golden cages." And then, almost comically, a shuffling sound broke the silence. A human janitor, clad in gray maintenance coveralls, pushed a cleaning cart into the chamber. He froze the moment he saw them. "Apologies, Your Majesty," he stammered, bowing quickly. "I was told this room would be empty." Thelmar bristled. "How dare you enter without permission? Leave immediately." But Isla raised a hand. "Wait." Her eyes narrowed with curiosity. "You're new here." "Yes, Your Highness," the man replied. "Tyler Grant, part of Earth's cultural exchange program." Isla studied him with interest. Humans, still considered primitive in the Galactic Order, fascinated her. "Tell me, Tyler Grant of Earth, what did you do before this?" "I was studying theoretical physics," he said hesitantly. "But there was an accident. Lost my scholarship. This job paid well, so here I am. A physicist turned janitor." Isla's lips curved faintly. "Not quite a physicist?" "Just a student," he corrected nervously. Thelmar stepped forward. "Princess, we have more pressing." "No," Isla cut him off, eyes glinting. "He'll take the test." The chamber fell utterly silent. Thelmar's voice cracked. "Your Highness, that's absurd. The royal test is for suitors. He's a janitor." "And yet," Isla replied calmly, "the law does not say from where my chosen must come, only that he must pass." Tyler blinked in disbelief. "Sorry, what test?" "The test of cosmic understanding," Isla said softly. "Solve it, and you're worthy of marriage to the crown princess of Valyrias." He laughed nervously. "Marriage? I think there's been some kind of mistake. Do you wish to return to Earth immediately?" she asked coolly. Tyler hesitated. "No." "Then you'll take my test." The holograms around them shimmered, revealing a swirling mass of cosmic darkness, a stellar riddle pulsing with energy. "This," Isla said, "is the Void Nexus, the greatest cosmological puzzle known. For centuries, ships passing through it have vanished or reappeared light years away. 78 princes have failed to explain it. You have one day." Tyler stared at the vortex. "One day to solve what your best scientists couldn't solve in centuries?" But Tyler didn't walk away. He set down his cleaning tools, stepped forward, and whispered, "May I?" Ayla nodded. The room glowed with shifting starlight as Tyler worked, his hands moving through the projections with quiet precision. Where princes had boasted and theorized, he only observed. Thelmar leaned close to Isla. "This is madness. He's a janitor." "He's also a physicist," Isla murmured. "And look, he's already seeing it differently." Minutes passed. Then Tyler looked up. "I'll need your historical flight data through the Nexus," he said, "and all atmospheric readings from the surrounding planets." For the first time in years, the princess smiled. "Granted," said the princess, her voice carrying the calm authority of one accustomed to command. "Thelmar will provide you with a workspace in the adjacent chamber and full access to the Royal Scientific Database." "Your Highness," Thelmar began, clearly distressed, but her tone sharpened like steel. "Now, advisor." With a final, reluctant bow, Thelmar obeyed, leading the human janitor, now her unlikely challenger, through the arched doors. When they were gone, Ayla turned back to the stars beyond the window. For the first time in months, a spark of genuine hope flickered within her chest. In the chamber next door, Tyler Grant stood in awe. The room pulsed with living technology. Holographic displays hovering like constellations, neural links whispering data directly into the mind. For a man from Earth, it was like stepping into a dream. "You have until this time tomorrow," Thelmar said stiffly, "though I cannot fathom why Her Highness would waste her hours on this charade." Tyler didn't answer. He was already diving into the data. Equations filled the air in glowing streams as he paced the floor, muttering to himself, connecting pieces only he seemed to see. Hours vanished. Food came and went untouched. By nightfall, the chamber was alive with shifting holograms and notes. But every theory hit the same wall, the same blind spot that had defeated the galaxy's finest. Exhausted, he rubbed his temples when the door slid open silently behind him. Ayla entered, her gown trailing light across the floor. Tyler shot upright, startled. "Your Highness, I didn't expect—" "At ease," she said, waving a hand. "I often visit candidates during their trial. Tell me, how fare you?" He exhaled, frustration in his voice. "Honestly, I'm stuck. Your scientists have incredible data, but the Void Nexus doesn't obey any known physical law. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing." Ayla approached, studying the web of equations. "You've made remarkable progress for someone with only Earth-level education." "Thanks, I think," he said wryly. "But it's not enough. None of this makes sense." "Perhaps," Ayla said softly, "you're looking in the wrong place. Beyond physics, what do you see?" She gestured toward a pedestal in the corner, where a small crystal pulsed with inner light. "Do you know what that is?" Tyler examined it closely. "Some kind of energy source?" "It's a memory crystal," Ayla explained. "It holds the knowledge of my ancestors, thousands of years of insight. Every royal of Valyrias leaves a piece of their mind within it." Tyler's eyes widened. "That's amazing. Some kind of quantum archive?" "Not technology," Ayla corrected gently. "We call it biomystical engineering, a fusion of consciousness and energy, what your people might call magic." Tyler smiled faintly. "There's no such thing as magic, just science we don't understand yet." Ayla returned the smile. "Exactly. Perhaps the Nexus is born of a science your world hasn't met yet."
She turned to leave, pausing at the door. 78 princes stood in this room. Not one thought to ask about the crystal, though it sits in plain sight. They were too busy showing what they already knew to look for what they did not. When she left, Tyler stood motionless for a long moment, the crystal's soft glow reflecting in his eyes. Then, with renewed purpose, he turned back to his work. As dawn broke over Valyrias, the chamber was unrecognizable. Holograms floated like galaxies suspended in midair, lines of light connecting theory to instinct, science to mystery. Tyler had abandoned strict logic and embraced something new, a fusion of physics and biomystical patterns drawn from the crystal itself. When Ayla and Thelmar entered the next morning, Tyler stood surrounded by a luminous sphere of energy, moving his hands through it as if sculpting light. "Time's up, human," Thelmar said, his voice dripping with condescension. "What have you to show?" Tyler turned. His eyes were ringed with fatigue, but they burned with discovery. "I think I understand the Void Nexus now." With emotion, the swirling projections coalesced into a single breathtaking hologram, a living vortex pulsing with rhythmic light. "The Nexus isn't a rift in space-time," he said. "It's alive, Or at least it behaves like a conscious system. It doesn't scatter ships at random. It responds to the energy signatures they emit. Every ship is speaking to it without realizing. Ayla's eyes widened. Speaking? Yes, Tyler said, excitement rising. Your navigation systems send out harmonic frequencies your engines generate. The Nexus interprets them, not as coordinates but as communication. If we tune those frequencies, we can guide it, not force it. Ask it. Thelmar scoffed. You expect us to believe space itself is listening? Not like us, Tyler said. It's not sentient, it's responsive, like an instrument that plays back depending on how you touch it. Ayla approached, her gaze fixed on the model. You're saying we could travel safely through it? By playing the right song? Tyler nodded. Exactly. I've mapped the frequencies. It's all here. The math checks out. Ayla circled the display, silent for a long time. And how did you arrive at this? The memory crystal, Tyler said. It showed me how energy and awareness can intertwine. Once I stopped fighting the problem and started listening to it, the answer appeared. Thelmar laughed harshly. Ridiculous. Your Highness, surely you don't believe. Silence, Ayla commanded, eyes never leaving the model. Tell me, Tyler Grant, if the Nexus can communicate, what else might it be capable of? Tyler hesitated. If my model's correct, it could do more than transport ships. It could connect civilizations, share energy, even information. A living network across the stars. Ayla's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile. Then inform the council, she said. The test has been passed. Thelmar's jaw fell open. Your Highness, this theory is untested, and he is a human janitor. He is Tyler Grant of Earth, Ayla said firmly, and he has shown what no prince ever did. Creativity, humility, and the courage to think beyond boundaries. She turned toward Tyler, who stood speechless. The law states that any who pass the royal test are worthy of consideration as my consort. You have succeeded where 78 failed. Tyler blinked, stunned. Your Highness, I came here to clean floors, not to marry royalty. I understand, she said gently. But what you've done today could reshape how the galaxy travels. That alone makes you worthy. Before he could reply, the chamber doors burst open. A royal guard rushed in, his face pale, voice trembling. Your Highness, it's the Nexus. Something's happening. Your Highness, we've received an emergency signal from the outpost near the Void Nexus. The officer's voice trembled through the command hall. A Drovian battle fleet has emerged from the anomaly and is heading directly for Valyrias. Princess Alara rose from her throne, the silver light of the holographic display reflecting in her eyes. How many ships? At least 50, Your Highness. They bypassed all early warning systems by traveling through the Nexus. They'll breach the atmosphere within 6 hours. Tyler, standing just behind the royal dais, frowned. The Drovians? Who are they? A warrior race, Thelmar said grimly. From beyond the known stars. They've been expanding their reach for decades. If they've learned to navigate the Nexus, then nowhere in the 7 systems is safe. Alara turned sharply to Tyler. It seems your theory about communicating with the Nexus was correct. Only the Drovians discovered it before we did. Tyler's gaze drifted toward the floating schematics of his earlier experiments. Not entirely, he said, thinking aloud. If they've only figured out basic navigation, they're still missing the deeper layers. The Nexus responds to harmonic frequencies. If we create an opposing pattern, like noise cancellation tech on Earth, we could disrupt their guidance system. For a brief moment, hope flickered in Alara's eyes. Could you design such a pattern? Tyler exhaled slowly, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. Yesterday he'd been mopping palace floors. Now he was being asked to defend an entire civilization. I can try, he said finally, but I'll need a team. Engineers who understand your propulsion systems, and a ship that can get close enough to the Drovian fleet to broadcast it. Then you'll have them, Alara declared. Assemble the Royal Science Division and prepare my personal vessel for launch. Your personal vessel? Thelmar protested. Your Highness, you can't mean to go yourself. This is my kingdom to defend, Alara said firmly, her voice ringing through the chamber. If this theory is our only chance, I intend to see it through personally. She turned to Tyler. It seems your royal test has only just begun, Tyler Gran of Earth. Are you ready for the challenge? Tyler looked at the determined princess, the skeptical advisor, and the glowing model of the Nexus spinning in midair. He managed a nervous smile. Ready as I'll ever be, Your Highness. Though for the record, I've never saved a star system before. Alara's lips curved into the faintest smile. There's a first time for everything. Let's go make history. Moments later, the stellar javelin, sleek, silver, and shaped like a blade, cut through the endless dark of space. Inside its laboratory, Tyler worked feverishly with the Royal Science Division, equations and energy maps hovering in holographic form around him. Alara entered, now clad in a captain's uniform, her silver hair tied in a sharp braid. Progress? She asked. Slow, Tyler admitted. Your scientists are brilliant, but they keep overthinking. The Nexus doesn't follow strict logic, it reacts to harmony. Lorexa, the chief scientist, frowned. With respect, Your Highness, this human's methods lack scientific rigor. Maybe, Tyler interrupted, but they're working. He pointed to a hologram showing a small energy wave disrupting a larger one. If we scale this up and tune the frequency, we can destabilize their navigation grid. And how do you propose to transmit it? Lorexa challenged. Our systems weren't designed for this. We don't transmit it, Tyler replied. We generate it, directly at the edge of the Nexus where resonance is strongest. Captain Navari, leaning in the doorway, crossed his arms. That puts us directly in the path of the Drauvians. Exactly, Tyler said. We position the javelin between them and Valyrias. When they approach, we trigger the counter pattern. Best case, they're sent back through the Nexus. Worst case, they're disoriented long enough for your defenses to mobilize. Alara studied him, calm and calculating. How close are you to finishing it? We've built the framework, Tyler said, but to tune it perfectly, I need to analyze their ship's resonance up close. That's suicide, Navari muttered. Not with your cloaking systems, Alara countered. We'll approach undetected. Lorexa shook her head. If the counter pattern fails, we'll be in the direct path of a Dryovian fleet with no defenses. Alara's eyes met Tyler's. Is it worth the risk? Tyler hesitated. Every face turned toward him. The janitor from Earth who had become the galaxy's last hope. I believe it will work, he said carefully. But if they've mastered the Nexus, they might have defenses against countermeasures. We need a backup plan. He activated a new hologram, the swirling heart of the Void Nexus. When I studied the memory crystal, I found signs that the Nexus isn't just a gateway, it's reactive. It listens. If we could alter its resonance even temporarily. Lorexa's eyes widened. You're suggesting we change the Nexus? Not change, Tyler said. More like, ask it to behave differently. Navari scoffed. Ask a cosmic anomaly nicely? Tyler shot him a look. You already accept that sound can move starships through another dimension. Why not intention? Alara stepped forward, thoughtful. And if our intentions aligned, if we focused our energy together, it might work, Tyler admitted. But the power required would exceed anything your ship can produce. Then Alara reached into her uniform and drew out a small glowing pendant, a shard of radiant crystal pulsing with ancient light. Would this help? She asked. Tyler stared. That's a royal memory crystal. Alara nodded. The collective essence of my ancestors' will and knowledge. It's only meant to be used during coronations, but these are extraordinary times. Lorexa gasped. Your Highness, that's forbidden. So is letting my people die, Alara replied coldly. She looked to Tyler. Can it work? He hesitated. I wouldn't know how to use it properly. The risk of damage is... I'll guide you, Alara said softly, stepping closer. Together we might succeed where either of us alone would fail. Their eyes met, and in that moment something passed between them. Understanding. Resolve. a shared defiance against the impossible. Tyler nodded. Then it settled. We'll prepare the counter pattern as our main defense, and the resonance modification as our backup. Agreed, Alara said firmly, her voice slicing through the tension. Captain Navari, set course for the edge of the Nexus. We have 4 hours until the Drovians reach Valyrias. Let's make them count. The stellar javelin surged forward, engines blazing as it cut through the black sea of stars. In its core laboratory, Tyler and the science team worked with desperate precision. Every second mattered. Equations flashed across holographic displays. Simulations ran faster than they could be interpreted. And the counter pattern, their fragile hope, slowly began to take form. Between calculations, Tyler and Alara continued refining the backup plan, merging his theoretical physics with her deep instinctive understanding of the memory crystal. In a brief moment of calm, they found themselves alone in the observation deck, the void stretching endlessly before them. "Tell me something," Alara said softly, her tone gentler than he'd ever heard it. "Why did you really leave your studies on Earth?" Tyler hesitated. "I told you, there was an accident." Her silver eyes lingered on him. "Yes, but there's more, isn't there? Someone with your mind doesn't just give up." He exhaled slowly, gaze distant. "You're right. The accident was just the excuse. Truth is, I never fit in. Science on Earth is rigid. Everything must fit neatly into what's already known. When I tried to explore beyond the accepted models, my professors called it fantasy, said I was wasting my time on science fiction." Alara smiled faintly. "And now you're a janitor saving a star system. Brave or foolish?" Tyler chuckled. "Probably both. The line between the two is thinner than most realize," she mused. "What matters is the heart behind the choice." He turned to her. "And what about you? Why make your suitor solve impossible tests?" Her smile faded, replaced by quiet resolve. "Because ruling Valyrias requires more than noble blood. It requires vision, courage to defy tradition when the future demands it. I wasn't looking for a prince, I was looking for someone who could see what others couldn't." Tyler gave a soft, disbelieving laugh. "And you think that's me? A janitor with half a physics degree?" "I think," Alara said thoughtfully, "you've already achieved what 78 princes could not." Before Tyler could respond, a voice crackled through the comms. "Your Highness, we've reached the Nexus coordinates. Drovian fleet, 30 minutes out." Alara straightened immediately. "We're on our way. Prepare all systems." The bridge buzzed with urgent energy as they arrived. Through the viewport, the swirling maelstrom of the Void Nexus pulsed, a cosmic storm of power and madness. "Drovian fleet detected," the sensor officer reported. 53 vessels. They'll pass within 1,000 kilometers. "Cloaking at maximum," Captain Navari said, tension thick in his voice. "But it won't hold for long." Alara took command. "Activate the counter pattern on my mark." Tyler's hands hovered over the control interface. "Pattern ready. 1 attempt, then we're out of power." "And if it fails?" Lorexa asked sharply. "Then," Alara said calmly, "we move to the backup plan. Prepare the crystal interface." The bridge lights dimmed as the royal crystal began to glow, suspended in a lattice of shimmering energy. Alara stood tall before her crew. "Everyone knows their role. Today we decide the fate of Valyrias." "Enemy fleet now visible," came the call. Massive warships loomed on the display, angular, menacing, alive with energy. "They're calibrating their resonance," Tyler muttered. "This is the moment." "Now!" Alara commanded. Tyler hit the control. The stellar javelin roared as energy cascaded through its core, sending a wave of invisible harmonic disruption across the void. It struck the Drovians like a silent detonation. Ships veered, formations broke. "It's working!" Lorexa shouted. Then Tyler's expression darkened. "Only partially. They're adapting." On screen, the lead ships restabilized, the fleet reforming with terrifying precision. They have redundancies, Navari warned. We've bought minutes, no more. Cloaking field collapsing, another voice cried. Power reserves critical. We've been detected. 3 destroyers inbound. Alara didn't flinch. Implement the backup plan. All non-essential personnel to emergency stations. She turned to Tyler. This is it, human. Time to see if your theory is more than words. Tyler moved to the glowing crystal. I still don't know if it'll work, he admitted. It's pure theory. Alara placed her hands on the crystal beside him, her voice steady. Theory becomes reality through will. Light flared between their fingers, tendrils of energy coiling around their arms. The crystal pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. Focus your intent, Alara whispered, eyes closed. Feel the nexus, don't command it, speak to it. Tyler obeyed, mind diving into the storm. He could feel it, the living rhythm of the void, wild and immense. Together, their consciousnesses intertwined through the crystal, forming a single unified pattern of intent. The ship shuddered as enemy fire struck their shields, 60% integrity, but Tyler barely noticed. He and Alara were connected to something vast, ancient, and aware. For one breathless moment, human and alien will merged into one luminous harmony, and the Void Nexus began to respond. Together, their minds reached into the heart of the void. On the main screen, the Nexus began to twist and convulse, its swirling energies shifting into violent, mesmerizing patterns. Brilliant arcs of light snaked outward like living tendrils, lashing toward the Draovian fleet. Incredible, Larexa whispered, her voice trembling. The Nexus. It's responding to their harmonic signal, but inversely. It's pulling them in instead of letting them pass. On the display, the Draovian Armada struggled desperately, as gravity itself seemed to turn against them. Their ships strained, engines flaring white-hot, fighting an unseen current that dragged them closer to the storm. One by one, massive vessels were caught in the Nexus's gravitational snare, their sleek forms twisting as space folded around them. They're trying to recalibrate their resonance pattern, Captain Navari barked, but it's changing too fast. They can't keep up. The lead battleship was the first to vanish, ripped into the swirling vortex with a blinding surge of light. Others followed in a chain reaction of chaos. Explosions rippled through the fleet as ships collided in their panic to escape, their desperate maneuvers only feeding the storm's hunger. Direct hit! A tactical officer shouted as the stellar javelin jolted violently. Sparks cascaded from a ruptured console. Forward shields down, hull breach on deck 3, containment active, another voice cried. Casualties reported. Tyler barely heard them. The strain of maintaining the connection with the crystal was unbearable. His body burned with every pulse of energy. Beside him, Alara's face was pale, her jaw clenched tight, silver eyes blazing with effort. Almost there, she gasped, her voice trembling under the weight of the power flowing through her. And then, in a single breathtaking instant, it was over. The last of the Draovian ships vanished into the roaring void, and the Nexus went still, its tempestuous glow returning to its usual chaotic shimmer. The connection shattered. Both Tyler and Alara collapsed, the crystal's light fading to a dim, exhausted glow. Medical officers rushed in as Captain Navari seized command. Damage report, he ordered. Hull breaches contained, came the reply. 12 injured, none critical. Power reserves at 20% and holding. Alara stirred weakly, her voice barely a whisper. The Draovians. Larexa checked her readings, eyes wide in disbelief. Gone, Your Highness. There's no trace of them anywhere in this sector. The Nexus appears to have scattered them. Where to? Tyler asked hoarsely, taking a hydration pack from a medic. Impossible to say, Larexa admitted. But the resonance data suggests they were flung across thousands of light years. Even if they survived the transition, it will take decades for them to regroup. Alara struggled to her feet, her legs unsteady until Tyler caught her arm. Set course for Valyrias, she commanded softly, and prepare a full report for the Council. They must understand what we've witnessed here today. The stellar javelin limped home through the star-streaked silence, its once proud hull scarred but unbroken. Tyler stared out at the receding glow of the Nexus, his mind a storm of questions. What was that entity? How had he and Alara been able to influence it? And what had it cost them? 3 days later, the Grand Hall of Valyrias was alive with tension. The chamber glittered with gold and crystal, filled with nobles, scientists, and commanders. Tyler stood before the Council of Elders, awkward in ornate ceremonial robes that felt foreign against his skin. Every gaze in the room was fixed on him, the outsider who had done the impossible. On the raised dais sat Princess Alara, radiant in her royal regalia. Though visibly recovered, the memory of the Nexus still flickered behind her calm composure. "Tyler Gran of Earth," the chief elder intoned, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You stand before this council as both an enigma and a savior. A janitor who succeeded where 78 princes failed, a man of no title who deciphered our greatest cosmic mystery, and now, the architect of a victory that saved our world. Tell us, what are we to make of you?" Tyler cleared his throat, his voice uncertain but steady. "With respect, Elder, I'm just someone who looked at the problem differently. Sometimes the value of an outside perspective is that it isn't trapped by tradition." A ripple of murmurs spread through the hall. One of the elders leaned forward. "And yet, you've displayed wisdom and courage far beyond your station. What then is your place among us?" Before Tyler could answer, Alara rose. "If I may speak," she said. The elder nodded gravely. "Honorable Council," she began, her voice carrying the authority of royalty and the warmth of conviction. "What we witnessed proves something I have long believed, that greatness can arise from the most unexpected of places." She descended the dais and stood beside Tyler, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. "Tyler Gran passed my test not through birthright, but through vision. And as our laws decree, any who pass the royal trial may be considered consort to the crown princess. I have made my choice." The hall erupted in whispers. The chief elder raised a hand for silence. "Princess, the law allows such a choice, yes, but never has it been extended to one not of Valyrias, much less to a human. There are implications." "Implications?" Alara's tone sharpened. "You mean prejudice. You question his worth because he lacks royal blood, the same royal blood that failed this test 78 times, or because he comes from a younger world. It was precisely his human way of thinking that saved us all." A long silence followed. Then a female elder nodded slowly. "The princess speaks truth, yet the role of consort carries great responsibility. Can this human truly help rule a star system?" All eyes turned to Tyler. He took a deep breath. 3 weeks ago I was cleaning floors," he said. "I had no title, no power, no idea where my life was going. I don't know your customs or your politics, but when the time came, I did what I could to protect your people. If Princess Alara believes I can help lead Valyrias, then I'll learn whatever I must to earn that trust. But I won't pretend to be something I'm not. I'm a human who sees the universe differently, and maybe that's exactly what's needed." For a moment, the great chamber was utterly still. Then, from the shadows near the council's edge, Thelmar, the royal advisor who had once scorned Tyler, stepped forward. "When the princess first chose this human," he said, voice heavy with humility, "I believed she was defying our traditions for folly. I was wrong." He turned to the assembly, eyes glinting with respect. "What we have witnessed is not the breaking of Valyrian tradition, but its evolution." The hall erupted into stunned silence, before slowly rising into applause that echoed like thunder beneath the crystal spires of Valyrias. In the silent glow of Valyria's triple moons, Tyler stood beside Ara on the royal balcony, the crystalline city stretching out like a sea of stars below. "Happy?" she asked softly, her voice carrying the warmth of both love and triumph. Tyler smiled, still half in disbelief. "More than I ever thought possible," he said, his gaze drifting over the alien skyline. Hard to believe all this started because you needed someone to clean your royal quarters. Ara laughed, the sound as bright as the moons above. I didn't need a cleaner, Tyler. I needed someone who could see what everyone else missed. You just happened to be holding a mop when fate decided to intervene. Fate's got a twisted sense of humor, Tyler chuckled, wrapping an arm around her. Back on Earth we have a saying, sometimes the right person for the job is the last one you'd expect. Ara turned toward him, silver eyes shimmering. On Valyrias, we say, look beyond the surface and you may find the stars. Tyler met her gaze, his heart swelling. I think I like your version better. As they kissed beneath the 3 moons, he realized how far he had come. From failed physics student and forgotten janitor to the royal consort of an alien princess, his journey had defied every expectation, every limit. Yet in that moment, he understood the truth of it all. Discovery, love, and destiny were never about status or lineage. They were about daring to see what others could not. And that was how one ordinary human had succeeded, where 78 princes had failed.